So yeah, like I said, join me on YouTube at Miss Uncut MMC SMOOV Smooth. All right. So like I was saying before, I never wanted to be in the music industry. You know what I'm saying? Like unless I was an attorney or I'm working in the background or something like that, because I already know that wasn't going to be my thing. That wasn't going to be my niche. That's something that I had to do. But you know, there was so many people telling me that, you know, like I should be a singer or a rapper, when I'm just like, yeah, but they don't make anything. They don't make it. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't make any money unless they suing somebody. I'm like, you got a attorney, excuse me, you got an attorney for a reason. So I figured that's the only way. Come to find out, that's it. I was right the whole entire time. So I'm glad that I actually did my research when I was a kid. I used to watch that shit all the time when it come down to entertainment tonight, things like that nature. Yeah, I did. But going back to what I was originally saying, we are, you know what I'm saying, like our city is under attack and shit like that. And then, you know what I'm saying, like, and it's not only our city, it's pretty much the whole United States. Like it's bugged out. It's the whole United States. So you see shit going down in Florida, you be like, nah, that shit is normal, but certain things aren't normal when you're in Florida. I think our first terror attacks was when that building down in Florida went, you know what I'm saying, went under. It was a condominium. And they was like, yo, you know, like the structure was fucked up, this, down, the third, whatever. But they never considered that to actually be a terrorist attack. They was just like, no, the structure is old. I was just like, nah, no building like that actually collapses. Remind me of the World Trade Center. That reminded me of 9/11. You know what I'm saying? And then I think what happened, like what, line 3 to 6 months down the line, there was another building that collapsed and shit. I was just like, yeah, this is a terrorist attack. But I ain't want to say nothing because I was just like, nah, I could be wrong. Like they do have structures that's actually outdated and things like that nature. So, you know, like that's it. That's how I'm thinking about it. So if y'all really it's like supposed to be like Armageddon, it's not Armageddon. If y'all think it's revelations from the Bible, yeah, Fladanka. Like if y'all actually it's revelations from the Bible, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like because things like that to happen, it would have to be natural for it to happen. You can't have people saying, yeah, well, I'm gonna destroy this, and then I'm gonna call it, you know what I'm saying, like a godly, you know what I'm saying, like, no, like the gods did it. Like that would be them calling themselves God. That's not, you know what I'm saying, that's not a revelation thing. That's not what that is. So like people kill me with that shit. It's like people, you know, with that shit. So it's just like, you know, like we are have a terrorism attack and things like that nature. There's a guy, he actually I think he blew, like he or some crazy wild shit, like he had explosives and he blew a car up. So I guess he, you know what I'm saying, like that's the plan. When you see somebody have explosive and they blow up, now mind you, this car that got blown up, it got blown up a day or two after the Japan the plane crash, when they blew up the fucking plane out there in Japan. I want y'all to take note of all of that shit. Like, yo, this is going down. Yes, it's going down. Like you see it, it's happening right before your eyes. So they want to see how many people work here, how many people work in this department, this down the third, whatever. How many, you know what I'm saying? Mind you, in New York City, today in New York City, like I said, this is terrorism all around the world right now. In New York City, there was a train collision. So how many actual workers, you know what I'm saying, like they want to see how many actual workers are working for those, you know what I'm saying, for the, and you know what I'm saying, like that was on 96th Street. So they want to see how many workers, or I guess like who's working, how many, you know what I'm saying, police department, who's coming out. That's how they testing everything out. The fire department, things like that nature. Like, listen, How I feel about it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care how you talking about. I don't mind the police like pulling a gun shoot. I don't mind them pulling, you know what I'm saying, like killing them. I don't mind that at all. They just need to go. Because why? Because now they sit up there and they trying to put our life and try to take over something that they don't even know how to fucking take over in the first place. They're gonna have this shit all the way fucked up. This is the shit that I was fucking. I pretty much warn people, but you do their own thing, and I understand that. I get that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that part, but when you start seeing certain things and affecting money, it starts affecting your food. It starts, it starts affecting your kids. It starts affecting your money. It starts food, your livelihood, things like that nature. Motherfuckers sitting up there like, yeah, y'all. Remember that year, and I said this shit on my live before. Remember that year when that song came out, and it was like, yo, and everybody was on where, like, and I think Fladaka remember this shit. Remember when people just like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, I'm gonna make her lose her job. I'm gonna make him lose his job. That's when the terrorism really, because when you're telling somebody like, yo, because that's financial abuse. That's financial abuse. So when you telling people like, yo, I'm gonna make you lose your job, this, down, the third, and that's only your boyfriend, or that's your girlfriend, or maybe that's just your friend. Do you know they do that shit in the shelters? Do you know that they tell the case managers when you actually enter the, when you actually, you know what I'm saying, when you're, you know, when you're working and you finally get your paperwork and you give it to your case manager and shit like that, they'll call in to threaten them or have somebody wherever you fucking work at to speak to your manager so you could lose your fucking job. I'll wait. I'm just telling y'all. Some people don't want to sell their ass. Just like some people don't really want to, you know what I'm saying, they don't actually want to do physical labor, or they don't want to work. Some people love that shit. But this is what the world is for. You know what I'm saying? You create things so you can sit up there and do. You don't want to just sit here. Yeah, like, you don't want to just say, oh, what am I going to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, books need to be written. Things, you got to fucking live life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to one day, maybe one day, I don't know. Everybody doesn't want to write a book. Everybody doesn't want to do an audio book. Everybody doesn't want to do that shit. There's certain things that people want to do, and certain people want to experience certain things too at the same time. Breaking out. I just broke out in hives. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Like, it's bugged the fuck out, y'all. It's bugged the fuck out. What the fuck is this? Alright, so I'm gonna read you. Alright, I'm gonna read you another one. Another plane just crashed. Another plane. This else, right? And I ain't trying to give y'all the news like this, but this shit is crazy. It says 4 died in a plane crash off of Bakia. That's over at a Loop, Barbados. They're having people take over planes. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're paying these people to sit up there, bribing these people to take over plane crafts and shit like that and crash them. Remember that shit? What happened to Aaliyah? That's the same thing that happened. Somebody paid that drunk, like Aaliyah's pilot. He was drunk the whole. His license was suspended. Matter of fact, his pilot license was revoked. On a plane, and he went to go drive that shit anyway. Nobody really. That's what happened to Aaliyah's. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened to Aaliyah's flight. With Aaliyah's flight, I broke the fuck out, y'all. with Aaliyah's flight. And that's exactly what happened. The pilot, her pilot, and his license was revoked. Like, that's exactly what happened. They explained it, and then they was just telling people like, no, don't tell that story no more. Don't tell what happened and shit like that. Yeah. That part, y'all. So, let me type in. I'm gonna type in news and shit like that, y'all. So you know exactly what the fuck going on. As you know, you know what I'm saying, when it came down, his shit, list is coming out. Well, it already came out. The thing with ISIS, we know about that. Okay, so the 6th grade student okay, so the Iowa thing, right? Obviously, somebody went into fucking school and started shooting that shit, like 6 or 7 dead. That's one, right? And that happened today. Hold on. I just see some shit. The fuck? Exactly. So this is okay. So 6 hours to the people out there in Sunnyside. Tenants return to apartments looted. Items missed weeks after Sunnyside building fire. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. Sunnyside over here in New York City, there's a place called Sunnyside, right? And it said the tenants returned to their apartments looted. Like some shit after the items missing weeks after Sunnyside, like what the fuck it say? After the building got caught fire and shit like that. So the way that they lining people, they line like they, you know what I'm saying, like it caught fire and then they sit up there and they rob them. That's how they say, and then they try to force them to go into the shelter or wherever the fuck they want to go. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly how to that shit. Says after a raging fire gutted a building just before Christmas, tenants were given like 3 hours to return home, right? So then it says it goes to say, you know, because they try to salvage shit. On top of all the other issues that they are facing, some tenants in their homes looted, jewelry, cash, all stolen. They were very selective with what they took, right? They didn't just do this. It was like a supplement that I had my mom's jade necklace and all that. The lady was from Korea. This shit. And like it's 450 people. It was 400 that lost their home. 450, y'all. In a massive fire. You know what I'm saying? So is that part. That shit is yo. So what they doing is they taking like, I think they're taking like most of the, they pretty much shit. That shit is wild. They taking the mentally ill and they paying them that to, you know what I'm saying, do their job. So if you like, if y'all like, it's apart from them, but yeah, like if you wonder why all of these people are going to the shelter system, like, because nobody would actually think that it's the shelter system doing it. Because you got to remember, like I said before, the shelter system is nothing but a big prostitution ring. That's so nothing but a big prostitution ring. So like, you know what I'm saying, what's the best way to actually get more, you know what I'm saying, people, regardless of is women, if it's women, kids, or men, if they could get all, like, you know what I'm saying, like, it's like, why not, right? It's pretty much why not. So people don't actually take in the fact is the shelter, most of the time, like when you see things like that happening, it's the shelter system trying to get everybody. They're trying to up their numbers. So when you see all of this shit going down a lot, and most people think, oh no, crazy black guy. No, it was a crazy white guy. No, it was somebody from the Bronx. Crazy Spanish guy from the fucking Bronx. No, oh, this fucking Muslim guy. They'll say all of these things. Oh yeah, the Muslim guy, you know, like he was jihad and things. Like, he would suspect anybody that is from the shelter system. Look at all of the stories within the last year. Just do your research, y'all. Research. Just look at all of the stories throughout the whole entire year. Matter of fact, last year, because this year just started. Look at all of the stories. I want you to look at all of the stories from how everything was starting to be burnt down. It had everything to do with people going to the shelter. Everybody that was in Maui, what did they have to do? They had to go into a shelter. All the migrants, they're trying to go into a shelter. I want y'all to understand who's actually really doing all of this shit. Okay? So if you wonder why that, you know what I'm saying, like you find out that it's like two or three things burning at one time, meaning the houses, not your dick. Well, I mean, they trying to burn your dick too and your pussy and all that shit. But if you're one who's doing all of this, you got to consider the fact that, you know what I'm saying, sometimes it doesn't have a fucking race to it. Sometimes it doesn't have a nationality to it. Sometimes you got to realize for what it is. And sometimes it's just a fucking organ. Somebody came up with the best fucking plan in the world and they was just like, they know they could get away with this because nobody would sit up there and consider the fact that it was a shelter. It's like, yo, now look, everybody's saying now, damn, these people gotta look, they gotta go into a shelter. How many times are you gonna keep saying that and want you actually noticing that they are going into a shelter? Like, make it make sense. Like, the main word, they're telling you the main clue, the main word. Everybody going to a shelter. Look what, like I said, look what happened in Hawaii. How the fuck do you burn down a whole and the kids get fucking kidnapped? You see what I'm saying? The best way that you can make money off of anybody. You send them to the shelter and then what happens? Because if they're not staying in the cell, they come into the shelter. So what happens after that? Well, then that means that whoever their family is, they could actually, if you know that happened to you with any of these things, like when it come down to it, guess what they could fucking tell it, because you see that, you know what I'm saying, like when it comes down to Canada, that's kind of open. They could easily just tell their family, like, yo, listen, you could come to job, like, yo, we made a way. We found out where these motherfuckers lived at, this, down, the third, whatever, what have you. They don't have to push anybody's paper. And remember, it's a domino effect. So as all of that shit is happening, what happens after that shit? After they get those people's jobs and shit like that, wherever the fuck they work at, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, like, they not only going to just somebody, just a regular, how they deem as regular, smegular, they looking at somebody in civil service job. Or they look, you know what I'm saying, like somebody that actually work in them offices, things like that nature. And it's so we know what the domino effect is, so we know we could take that shit away from them. And meaning that, guess what happened to us because we are in terrorism, right? Well, Wall Street already hijacked, so what are you paying for? It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta really consider the fact, it's just like, yo, if all of this inflation, it's just like, you gotta really think, like, who the fuck really got hijacked? Now you gotta really start, like, you gotta really start considering that shit. Like, yo, wow, like, yo, you really think about that shit. Remember, like, although it might have started down in Florida, it trickled down to here in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Like, during the pandemic and things like that nature. Like, when you go to the Fed building, Federal Reserve building and shit like that, they don't got that shit heavily guarded like they used to. Outside, they used to. They changed the color and every shit. When I'm saying, like, I know they're gonna have their renovations and stuff like that, but when you go near the Federal Reserve, I promise you, if they, like, let me just say this. Let me just say this shit. If, only if, they could get the military to go into the Federal Reserve and make sure that you have hit every perimeter to make sure that they cover it, and when they go in there, because our fucking Federal Reserve got hijacked. There's a fucking terrorist attack on the fucking Federal Reserve. They're not going to tell you. That's why inflation. You wonder why inflation is really up? That's the reason. If the military themselves and they went in there with a big wig, with a big boss, you know what I'm saying, what they call a big boss and shit like that or what have you. I'm just letting y'all know. There's terrorism going on the Federal Reserve. This shit been going on for, and this is the reason why our inflation is up, and they are not telling us that, and they don't us that. You gotta really fucking think about it. If they took the military, you know what I'm saying, and hold down the whole fucking perimeter downtown Manhattan, I promise you, to go in there, that shit, I promise you, inflation tomorrow. Inflation will go down tomorrow because they would catch the what do you call them shits? They like they would catch the fucking terrorists. What would be the best place to fucking hide out after you sit up there and you hijack and you fucking, after you done took over the fucking Federal Reserve? You stay in that motherfucker. They ain't no need to leave, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, they probably got the mother in the fucking basement or somewhere. Military needs to go down like in the fucking Federal Reserve in New York City and do a fucking raid. And don't listen to anything the FBI is talking about, especially like, because more than likely there's some fucking, obviously the FBI turned head too. But I'm just, so if y'all was wondering what the fuck was going on, yeah, it's the people who actually own the shelters and shit like that, and they sending, they bribing people. Every bribe is not a good bribe. Yo, every bribe is not, you know what I'm saying, that shit. Sometimes you just gotta leave shit where the fuck it is. I mean, Donka, sometimes you gotta know what the fuck you dealing with, and sometimes, you know what I'm saying, you gotta have that mind, like, yo, listen, I live in a city with, you know what I'm saying, the population is on, and And you gotta figure out, you gotta know what the fuck is really going on. Well, all of the distraction that's going in DC right now, they not even focused on that shit. They just like, yeah, and come on, Biden, and yeah, but we got migrants and shit like that. Our Federal Reserve got fucking hijacked by terrorists and shit like that. And I'm not talking about, it don't even have to be jihad. I'm talking about by the actual Europe that's going to make it seem like, yeah, sir. And they just going to sit at the desk and act like, remember the movie Die Hard? Remember Fladanka? Remember Die Hard? Remember that movie? Remember they just sat there cool as fuck and was like, yeah, nothing's going on. Don't do that.